Okay, in our previous example, we originally had sales of 650,000, fixed assets of 360,000. The company was at full capacity and the sales rise was 25%. Now instead of being at full capacity, we're going to assume they're at 90% capacity. That means they have additional room for in their fixed assets to support higher sales. We don't know how much sales that they can support and not have to add any fixed assets, but we can calculate it. That is, what are fixed capacity sales? How much sales can we support with our current fixed assets, given that we're at 90% capacity? Well, we know that whatever full capacity is, multiply whatever we can support times 90%, and that's what we're at now. So we're at 650,000. We know that we're at 90% capacity, so whatever full capacity sales are times the 90% gets us to where we're at. So we can back into full capacity sales by taking our 650 and dividing by 0.9 to get 722 to 22. So with 360,000, we could support a sales rise of 722 to 22. And if our 25% increase in sales had only gone to 710,000, you could say fixed assets remain unchanged. I'm going to use the 360,000 and plug that into the answer. But in this case, our sales rose to $812,500. Our sales go to $812,500, so they exceed our full capacity with the current fixed assets that we have. So fixed assets are going to have to rise, but they're not going to rise in lockstep with sales. So how do we calculate it? We have to calculate the ratio of fixed assets required, fixed assets to sales required at full capacity. So fixed assets divided by sales when we're at full capacity. So we need to get a ratio of how much fixed assets do we have to have as a percent of sales when we're at full capacity. We know that 360,000 supports sales of 722. That'll give us a ratio of 0.4985. So we need about 50%, 0.4985 of whatever our sales are in fixed assets. Our new sales went to 812,500. Multiply by that by the ratio that we just calculated to get our new fixed assets. So this is our new fixed assets if this company had been at 90% capacity instead of at 100% capacity. And if we go back to the balance sheet that we had before, everything remains the same. The only thing that full capacity affects is what happens to your fixed assets. Previously, our fixed assets went to 450. Now they're only going up to 405,000. So our total assets will now be 592,625. And our external financing needed, 592,625 minus 575,537 would give us 17,088. If, for instance, they'd been at 70% capacity, I didn't do this calculation, but if they'd been at 70% capacity, it's likely that they would not have had to change their fixed assets at all because they probably could have supported the increase. So that would have remained 360, and you would have still had 45,000, so you'd be 45,000 lower over here, and your external financing needed in that case would end up being one of those negative times.